Hello everybody and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. Today we have a Fight Night game here, 2v2. It took place fairly recently, on the 10th. This was sent in to us by one of the contestants. And it's the first time we've seen the map Gas Bag Grabbins on a 2v2. And instantly enough, we are seeing a difference in start position between the left hand and right hand side here, with Modulo deciding to go for a very forward position. Modulo's plan is to get the high ground over here in order to get a better position. However, metal income wise, the blue and green players have a more advantageous position when it comes to, well, just pure metal. Let's have a look at our players. So on the red team, the warm team, we have Modulo playing a Legion, going into a bot lab straight off the bat. And we have Neb also going Legion. This person here is Neb. He's one of the people that organizes Fight Night. So if you're interested in getting into Fight Night, this is who you're going to be contacting or looking out for messages from, at least. The opponent side, we have Tal. This person is, although low OS in 2v2s, small teams, their single player OS is a lot higher. I think it's around 30 something. And then finally, the blue player, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Akitasu. Well, I'm going to struggle to pronounce that name the entire match, so I am sorry for horrendously slaughtering the name. Blue player Akitasu going for bombers straight off the bat. This is a very early bombing run. Probably going to see them reclaim that air lab straight away. We'll see how much damage they're going to be able to inflict as we select blue here. Already seeing that yellow is not in the standard start position. Able to get a single metal extractor and a bunch of wins. Now changing their direction, it seems, and going for Modulo. Getting 2 metal extractors. Bear in mind, Legion in general, the metal extractors make less metal in general. So by losing metal extractors, it's going to put you even further behind. But the construction turret did stay up and operational, so that's pretty good. We'll see how far behind that puts Team Neb, Team Warm Color. And if this is your first time seeing the map, let's have a quick look. So the green is acidic. No going in there. No navy. There is a geo point here and here on both sides. This area over here can actually have a construction turret like placed up here that can reach both sides, and you quite often see that used. So very important early game to get those geos up if you can. Obviously there's a lot of metal points around the map, so definitely not something to sleep on. The high ground does give you a significant advantage. We're seeing a lot of people playing Legion recently due to the preparations for the Faction Wars tournament coming up. Everyone's trying to get as much practice as playing against Legion as possible. So it's nice to see them being played. And also it's going to give the devs of Legion a lot of information they need in order to balance the faction properly. Modulo losing a construction bot very early on here. Luckily they do have the ability to build res bots, but still that's a lot of wasted time there by not having that construction bot able to expand. Now for those that haven't seen Legion before, there's a lot of different units in there. These lobbers Surprisingly, they can also function as artillery. Very short range artillery, but they can, like, completely arc over. But they're, like, discount thugs. And Modulo already lost that metal extractor. But so far, Team Warm getting a good position. Either side in the high grounds. These ballistas here surprisingly do a lot of damage. We've seen them work pretty effectively versus thugs and maces. They have, you know, decent range, but their missiles are huge. Goblins, on the other hand, are a lot cheaper than pawns or grunts. And because of that, generally you need to have more than one to kind of deal with what you would normally deal with. So it's like a 2-to-1 scenario. But Tal here amassing quite a lot of lobbers. And they're getting that high ground advantage for plasma-based units is going to be important. Neb already has just goblins everywhere, but up in this high ground he has a lot of them. Neb is trying to get this area under control, but maybe due to Miss Micro, he's going to get these metal extractors first, and that is going to pretty much abandon this high ground area. But Modulo versus Akitasu. Modulo's commander, because it had to go in on the LLT there, extremely low health. Modulo will get blown up, and there is a double column explosion there. Huge amount of metal available. The question is, who is going to get that reclaim? There's already a resbot on its way, queued up for both players. And meanwhile, along the bottom, Tal did manage to secure the reclaim. Not reclaim, secure that high ground, rather, that Neb mistakenly ran away from. Modulo is the first on the field with the resbot. Question is how long can he keep it up for? So far, a lot of the reclaim is already gone. We're going to have this other fight walking down the hill on the second screen for you. But Tal's managed to push Neb quite far back off that high ground. So far, Modulo, though, getting a lot of reclaim. One whole commander has gone so far, and you can see both players, Modulo overflowing, well, Modulo not overflowing metal, but... And there goes the resbot, still only leaving 38% of that comrec left. But a lot more metal now will be in the bank of the Warm team as opposed to the Cool team. And you can see the unit difference. Neb, though, right now, with a mass amount of metal and no energy to speak of whatsoever. Neb really needs to get his energy production in the game and get caught back up. What is he doing in his base? He's got solars. He's built a geo. Built one of the 2 geos. He's desperately trying to get more energy production, but at the moment he just doesn't have enough. Building resbots obviously requires a lot of energy. And he somehow managed to survive these resbots. Don't quite know how, but he did. Now, goblins don't work quite well versus lobbers. Not well enough, at least. And their reload time actually seems to be quite slow. You see how long these pawns have had to shoot for before they get taken out, and the unfortunate friendly fire there as well from the ballista. There's a lot of res to be had here. Try and find a resbot or something. 1k metal total just in the middle. And surprisingly, I was about to say surprisingly, Neb not trying to take back this high ground, and literally he does as I was about to say it. LTs, or sorry, technically heat ray towers get taken out pretty quickly. Tau trying to reinforce the bottom here with some centaurs. Meanwhile, in the middle, these centaurs deal with LLTs pretty quickly. And Modulo massively pushed back right to his base. Bear in mind, Modulo obviously with no commander left now. He desperately needs some help, and Neb needs to send it his way. All of the economy on the map is basically Neb's for the Warm team. Modulo with very, very little. And it's not looking good for Modulo. This start position was extremely greedy for Modulo. Tried to get as much of the map as possible early on, and it has not worked out in the slightest. Modulo, of course, down a commander. And now down a factory in moments. Meanwhile, up top here, there is a air factory of Nebs, which is getting some harass here. Nothing to defend it. Neb hasn't even noticed yet. 5 suicide bombs on the way out. It's not going to be really enough to do too much, to be honest with you. Oh, well, maybe to kill all the energy converters it will be. But with no scouts, what's he going to attack? Going to hit the Geo, it seems. Oh, but a chainsaw already up completely overrides that. And Neb now just rushing to try and assist and try and save his teammate. Modulo basically down to nothing now. And Neb giving Modulo actually a ton of units here to try and stabilize this area, but with no factory, no constructors, it's basically Neb versus the team. $1.5k metal there, 845 in the bottom corner. Neb just trying to give units for Modulo to micro at the moment, but you can see him just pushing out a ridiculous amount of lobbers. He does have a very large amount of economy, but when you look at the differences between the teams, you can just see the only thing that the warm color team have advantage at the moment is army value. Everything else when it comes to economy is pure favoritism to the blue color team. Modulo making a very good point. There's no point in giving him economy if he has no units to speak of, or no factory rather to speak of. Modulo trying to make a big push here though on the top with the units that he does have. And this might be a good idea. Try and apply pressure. Give his teammate time to regen. Rebuild for him. A single HLT up here will try and do a bit of defense, but he has no radar, which is one of the biggest problems for him. We select Neb actually quickly. You can see he has no radar up there at all. He doesn't know where his opponents are. This is proving on the top, though, to be a good amount of pressure. These lobbers do need to kind of keep range, but you can see them kind of doing a pretty good job versus these pawns. At the same time, a bit of pressure coming in at the bottom where the commanders died. Question is how much pressure can Modulo keep up? We can see that Neb has actually stopped unit production altogether. All units of Nebs have gone to their gone to Modulo to control, and Neb has transitioned to Tech 2. Meanwhile, the blue colored team, being on the receiving end of all this pressure, is just trying to hold on. They built some Centurions up, which will do a fairly decent job, but these Centaurs coming in, also surprisingly doing a pretty decent job. Working actually surprisingly well versus them. Their high alpha damage doing the job. Thing is, with Modulo controlling these units, he also needs to be careful not to lose all of them. Because with Neb going Tech 2, there is going to be a delay in units coming out here. Economy-wise, though, Metal the Second, you can see, is fluctuating quite a bit. The bottom flank, though, you can just see it on the minimap there, is lost completely. And there is a big open path now all the way along the bottom. Middle is also empty. Resbots just running around. There is 2k metal to be had there. But Neb needs to be careful. This bottom side is going to be a problem for him. And he's just noticed it. Radar there. Just giving that vision he requires. Neb with all of the economy on the map for the warm team. Gunships on the way in. A huge amount of AA has been built, though, already. So we'll see what happens with those. Modulo gifted some units back. Modulo has also spotted the air on its way in. With a flak now, or not a flak, but a flak-like unit being produced. And this is the moment that the other team are going to receive tier 2 units detected. And instantly Tao's like, oh damn, let's run away. Gunships though have made their way in and instantly spiral out of control. There are 4 of them left. But they're not really going to be able to contribute too much. Shields coming off of these phalanx units. They're pretty cool. So they start with this like armored shield, and then as soon as they take some damage, they start losing the shield. Then as soon as they've lost the shield, they take more damage, and that like shield can never be like repaired. So definitely a different type of unit. Still losing more and more ground here. The army of Modulo that was on the north side still holding strong, but the green and blue players pushing everything down the middle now, just completely ignoring that army of Modulo. And a Tech 1 anti-air flak has been built. Is it a little too late? Is any of these guys going Tech 2? Yes, we see Tech 2 from Tau now. Question is the army value of all of these guys going to be enough where they're not going to have to worry about it? We see Neb's Tech 2 constructors having to run away, and the army of Modulo on this north side also getting mopped up by air. Not much really to be done about that as we select a Resbot, 2k worth of metal on that top side. Modulo now being given some fighters to help deal with this air problem. And finally clearing up this section on the top. Surprising that Modulo's managed to hold that for so long. It's also somewhat surprising that Neb hasn't like given some metal extractors and like a factory to Modulo again. Instead, just Neb's focusing everything on economy, his own economy, and then just gifting everything to Modulo basically to Micro. And to be fair, it seems to be working out. These phalanxes with a very high amount of impulse damage on them, but quite short range. Meanwhile, some fighters in the middle. And both players, well, both teams rather, just kind of stalled out a bit here. Tech 1 versus Tech 2 is never really going to go well. But protecting the Requiem field there. There are some infestors further behind. The plan probably is to use them to reclaim everything. can see Modulo here trying to prioritize killing the res bots and getting a huge clump of res bots there. Oh, it's not an infestor, it's a Proteus. Okay, never mind. I thought that was an infestor. Okay, so there's a Tech 2 unit that can be built called an infestor, which is able to reclaim, to repair, and also build more of itself. I think it's called an infestor. Yeah, there, infestor. It's a bot that's able to build itself. But so far this game, all the economy damage that has taken place has been on this right-hand side of the map. And the blue team's economy is just growing and growing. Neb now trying to make a bit of an impact. Is it going to be a little bit too late here? There's already Tech 2 forces making their way down. They'll get a Tech 1 Geo, but at the end of the day, at this point, not really that big a deal. Surprisingly, this phalanx here that is almost dead still has its shield intact. You're gonna ask me, how does the armor system work? I have no idea. I'm afraid I cannot tell you that. And Modulo's units going into a bit of a hole here. Kind of maybe would be worth self-D'ing them at this point. Unless you're going to get a big group of kills like that. Now self-D to remove the wreck. No. Shame. Resbot already on its way there with 1.6k metal. Bear in mind that that would have only removed 270 for a self-destruct, but still, it adds up at the end of the day. Tal kind of carrying this for the green team, for the green-blue team. Doing tremendously well. Akutasu, or however you pronounce that name, with Armada, not really moved from... Well, not moved, still on Tech 1, still just pumping out pawns. To be fair, they don't have anywhere near as much metal production. Akutasu has obviously 2 start positions and here and all these. The area that should have been Akutasu's metal has been obviously contested the entire game. But Tal having the superior amount of these phalanxes here. And Modulo is just having to fall back. Meanwhile, on the bottom, some of these Striders, which I'm pretty sure are placeholder models, were about to make a push in, but have decided to now go into the middle as well. More suicide bombers, though, being built by Neb. Now, I have worked this out, and if I remember correctly, you need about 20 of them to insta-pop a comm, but the comm has to be, like, not moving. I think it was 20. It may have been a little bit more than 20. But it is very satisfying to use those to kill one of your opponent's comms. And Tal kind of running away with it here. When we look at army value and hover over, just look how big that green number is there. And army value is at advantage the blue-colored team now. Question is, how many suicide bombers do we have so far? 13. Akutasu getting an advanced metal extractor, which is quite a big loss. And an advanced constructor. Very well played there. The incinerator here, which is extremely slow, will be something that's quite effective for you to just plonk somewhere and it kind of stop any push coming into your base. But you see how quickly that thing just incinerates stuff, literally. Oh, okay, that pathing was not what I expected. I don't think that was what anyone expected. And this is unfortunate. Neb's going to lose quite a lot here. But the biggest thing to worry about is this push right down the middle. Neb desperately running forces to go deal with that. These things don't seem to be that strong, dying pretty quickly there. They are raider units, that's kind of what you expect. Suicide bombers kind of just flew over and did nothing. Modulo with less and less stuff. Neb kind of trying to have to concentrate on his own stuff. He can't really afford to constantly giving stuff right now. But fair play to Modulo though. Not just giving up and just being like, yeah, well, I'm out, so you deal with it. This is fight night. It's what fighting's all about. Not giving up and just keep going until you kill your team opponent, rather. Don't kill your teammate. That's really bad play. Oh, the air constructor. Oh, I was going to say, did he manage to just pick up a... Where's he going with that? Okay. So it looks like Neb's plan is to position this incinerator like up here, just to kind of give a stationary defense. There is a lot of reclaim though. 3.27k reclaim there. Neb being given a Legion bot lab here. A lot of suicide bombers being built. Currently up to 21. So again, that is enough. Should be enough now to kill a commander, but this commander is cloaked with plenty of AA. I don't think they're gonna be enough to take it out. Tal now being telling his teammate to go tech 2. But Neb losing the high ground on the bottom side of the map here. Neither player able to really hold the high grounds for a change. Quite often we've seen this map, we've seen players get the high ground and that's pretty much it. They don't lose it for the whole game. These things don't do as much damage to laser towers as I would presume, because mostly because only the 2 front ones were shooting there. Meanwhile, Modulo now making a push. Not quite sure how far that will get. Decent defenses along that bottom side of Neb's means that that goes nowhere. So the key thing about these phalanxes is basically you need to spread them out. If you don't spread them out, none of them are really going to be able to shoot at anyone. And a huge mess of explosions there as all of those guys lose their shields. And you see how quickly they die when they don't have their shields. Oh, recluses. Interesting option. Not a single rocket has actually hit its target yet. Let's quick do a base overlook. So Neb still pumping out phalanxes. Starting to chuck a couple of these railguns. I personally really like these things, but they're not for everyone. I haven't actually used these units at all yet, so I can't tell you what they are or what they do, other than it says they're like amphibious units. Spy bots, you can see there's still models that are Cortex models that haven't received a new unit yet. These Striders definitely need a new unit. seeing that they're just... You can't really see it, but if I zoomed in on one, you'd be like, hey, that's a Centurion. But yeah. Akitasu finally getting Tech 2 up and also securing some land. Maybe they'll actually be able to get some more metal extractors on the go. Modulo still not really with anything here. Just being given units constantly to try and... Sure, what is on that? Oh, it's a constructor turret. These incinerator things, if you can build enough of these, they are a nightmare to deal with. I have been on the receiving end of a push of about 15, 20 of these, and they are devastating. Similar to sniper bots in the way that they kind of, you can mass them up. They're like really difficult to push into. These are also quite flammable, but you do need more than one, or at least something to support them, because you can see it. I mean, yes, it does do damage pretty quickly, but it still needs time on target in order to do damage. So having more than one will definitely help stack up that damage. Pulsar, or Bastion rather, being built along the north side to try and defend that high ground. Neb still not able to build anything along the bottom at all. We can see though, Modulo making a push on this bottom side here. Gets an advanced con, and then looks like Modulo's going to retreat. Meanwhile, an attempted push along the north. Which we've switched to now, as that bottom force is just retreating. Modulo able to get a Tech 2 constructor there. That was pretty much all the build power that was on that Bastion. And this is a good group of units of Modulo. Al has some more phalanxes of himself. These recluses are seeming to do a decent job at breaking the armors of the phalanxes. A lot of these phalanxes now have no shields. You can see how quickly they die with no shields. Resbot is behind though, ready to get any dead ones. Actually going for the reclaim instead, it seems. That does seem actually like a more better idea. Infestors also being built now on the bottom C. Use them as resbots. Neb losing a T2 constructor, and these guys pushing straight down the middle. Not really any units to defend. Well, there was a few, but not much. Pawns, though, getting a construction turret and a constructor, and are now free to get metal extractors. And it's just the red team constantly losing constructors, losing metal extractors. Constantly having to play the defensive, unfortunately. And it looks like this infestor is just going to hide. Neb misclicking and moving one into the acid, though. These guys are actually proving to be pretty effective for these phalanxes. Meanwhile, on the top, Modulo having to deal with that top side as well. You see these railguns, though, able to keep the phalanxes at a decent range. Modulo having to fall back along the bottom. Meanwhile, Akitasu with a decent force on the top here as well. It's proving more and more problems for the red team to keep in the game. Never actually saw what happened with the suicide bombers. Kind of wonder if it would be worth Neb just investing in like a bastion or something somewhere. Because he needs kind of better defense. Constant like raids that are going on are just proving a bit too much for him to deal with. And army value is still very close right now. I do see there's a sneaky thing building here as Neb is trying to just build up a force of infestors. What would have been good is if he managed to get them around here first and then started building them around the back. But Modulo attempting to initiate an attack here. The problem is with these phalanxes is, yes, you may have a lot of them, but only the front ones can shoot. So having them all clumped up like this is doing him a disservice, if anything. And Tech 3 now coming out from Neb. Battery's just finishing off. Question is what is he going to build from it? He doesn't have long. The overwhelming force of blue just pushing its way in. And we're trying to keep eyes on both sides of the map here, but not quite sure what his plan are with these infestors. Modulo trying to make a push, but that fat boy is going to do a lot of damage. Having the high ground as well. Interestingly, a lot of Tech 1 coming out here from Neb. A bunch of goblins. Clearly just trying to get some forces on the field, but the whole of the bottom flank is now completely exposed. Goblins probably to try and tank the shots of these, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, railgun spiders. The phalanx making a huge path straight through. And javelins apparently are the Tech 3 of choice. Probably equivalent to Razorbacks, but just look how quickly that thing is getting killed. Oh no, the infestor plan has been found! It was worth a try. Yeah, javelins look like equivalent marauders, razorbacks sort of thing. They don't seem to be that strong, really. Losing the advanced Geo, though, on that right-hand side, and I believe this is going to be the beginning of the end for Neb. He has nothing that can stop this push. And as he approaches closer and closer, these railguns just absolutely tearing everything to shreds. Now, these are also anti-air units, bear in mind. Neb trying to do his best to just churn out some units. Surprisingly, though, manages to actually stop this attack. Neb's concentration gone elsewhere, though, and continuing letting these guys in. Alright, finally managing to deal with that, but there is a huge blue force now just making its way in. And with the no energy that Neb has, the tier 3 will not cut it. I believe this is the cheapest, yeah, of the Tech 3. 21,000 energy. Losing that fusion was a huge hit. And, oh, he did go advanced at the back. Oof. And as Neb's base gets finally overwhelmed, I mean, he put up a tremendous fight. Considering Modulo's base died so quickly. And they've been facing kind of 2v1 this entire time. And not giving up. Neb doing what he can now with the D-guns. Being very smart, not D-gun his metal extractors, but... And there we go. Neb calling the GG. So, Legion not all powerful in the end, as the 2 Legion team players ended up losing a ton of units on show there. And you can see that just Neb's production here kept up the entire game, but just blue and green players combined just managed to just overwhelm and win in the end. Great game. And don't forget, if you're interested in joining Fight Nights, just check out Fire's Discord. There's regular events on there where you can sign up and join in Fight Night. There's no kind of prerequisites as to OS or stuff like that. Just join in, have some fun. And thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.